Self-proclaimed leader al-Bakr al-Baghdadi draws a parallel with the operation that ended with the death of Osama bin Laden during President Obama's time in office. But just how deep did this affect the terror group, the attack over the weekend? And how much of a threat is ISIS right now? Retired Lieutenant Jason Redman, military foreign policy expert, also a former Navy SEAL. You were wounded in Iraq, and before we get to the current situation with ISIS, Jay, talk about your experience and what happened.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to serve in both Iraq and Afghanistan, leading just some incredible warriors, my fellow SEAL teammates. We were towards the end of the deployment in Iraq in 2007. Pretty volatile time. It was during both the surge and something we call the Anbar Awakening, when the Iraqi people really were ready for change, and they really started working with us, providing us good, actionable intelligence. So on this night, we got information for the #1 leader for the al-Qaeda organization in the Anbar province in western Iraq, and basically launched on that target, took down an initial building. He was not there. We found a lot of evidence they had just been there and were close by. As the mission developed, started seeing a whole lot of activity on another house about 150 yards away. I took my team and we were maneuvering because we saw some individuals flee out of that other building, go hide in some vegetation. Basically, we walked into a very well-executed al-Qaeda ambush. Myself and two of my teammates were caught in the crossfire, multiple machine guns, 10 to 12 enemy fighters. I was hit 8 times between my body armor and body, 2 rounds in the left elbow, took a round in the face, and obviously that kind of stopped my Iraq deployment and started a whole new journey of getting put back together.
Wow. So this weekend's attack and taking down of al-Baghdadi, is that, how huge of a mission was this for our troops? And does it rank up there with taking out Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden?
I think it does. And a lot of people, I think, are downplaying this. I've heard a lot of the commentaries out there saying, well, they just replaced him with another successor. But, people don't really understand, the growth of ISIS and what they accomplished. Al-Qaeda did a pretty good job as an organization, and obviously they still are. But you look at what ISIS created in a very short period of time. They created this quasi-nation state with infrastructure, and basically, taxing the people with very, very rigid enforceable laws within their own ranks. And it was built on pillars of terror and violence. The individuals that were part of this organization, if you were on the inside, if you were a member, then you were basically allowed to do whatever you wanted to do, all in the name of their cause. So for the men, hey, it's okay for you to take sex slaves. It's okay for you to rape and subjugate women. All of that's fine within the cause. If you don't believe in us, if you're an infidel that stands against what we stand against, perfectly okay for you to, stone, kill, disembowel, behead, set on fire. And, oh, by the way, we want you to film all this so we can show everyone how hard we are. So Baghdadi was incredibly charismatic in his ability to take individuals who were sympathetic to the cause, or maybe who were interested in the cause, young, impressionable Muslims that were out there, and basically say, hey, join us. You're going to be a part of the winning team. And to be able to turn them into zealots who are willing to kill for their cause. So to be able to take him down is huge. Baghdadi, in my opinion, there was another evil leader that existed about, 75, 80 years ago, who very similarly was charismatic and able to recruit people to his cause. His name was Adolf Hitler. Man, he was responsible for 6 million people dead. Baghdadi, if given the opportunity, would have done the same thing. He just didn't quite have the resources to get to that level. So to be able to take him out is absolutely huge, and it is definitely a blow to the ISIS organization.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit more about ISIS and get into how much of a threat you believe that they still are, but I need to take a quick break, Jay, and then we'll come back and we'll chat about that, okay?
Okay.
All right, we'll be back. Again, I'm speaking with retired Lieutenant Jay Redman, who is a military foreign policy expert, an ex-Navy SEAL who was injured in combat. And we're going to talk about ISIS still being a threat. But when we're talking about successors to these leaders who have been taken down in the past, and now with Baghdadi, the successor who will likely take over for him, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people saying, well, ISIS isn't dead, taking out Baghdadi, we're just continuing to play whack-a-mole. But that's true in some aspects. I mean, we took out the head of the organization, a very evil, very violent head of an organization who ruthlessly built into what it is today. The successor, no time in the history of any nation or any organization out there has the successor been able to fill the shoes of a charismatic ideological leader. And you're not going to see the same thing in this situation. The loss of Baghdadi is a crippling blow to ISIS. A lot of people don't know that the day after that attack, we actually killed the number 2 for ISIS also. So double blows. This successor, he's got, good luck to him to try and fill those shoes. It hasn't happened before. That being said, is ISIS still a threat? Absolutely, because as opposed to wars in the past where we're fighting against nation states and nation militaries, with both ISIS and Al-Qaeda, you're fighting an ideology that doesn't fall within borders. It doesn't fall within cities. It doesn't fall in a building. There's no headquarters. Instead, they're able to leverage the internet. They're able to leverage information. They're able to leverage young, impressionable minds and say, hey, if you think you can make a difference, you want to join us. Now, where we'll win this war is in 2 parts. The one part got executed on Saturday night. The extreme leaders of the organization are never going to change. They are fervently steadfast in their belief of this ideology. So for them, they're only willing to basically die for their cause. Although I will say I find it ironic for these super hard fighters that my team and I and so many military members have stepped up against. They pound their chest and say, we'll fight to the end. But you saw what Baghdadi did. He didn't fight to the end. He didn't stand his ground and go toe-to-toe with forces. When he was confronted and basically they were hunting him down, not only did he take himself out, he killed his 3 kids. So, kind of ironic that you want to pound your chest and say you're going to be these hard fighters who fight to the end. But the leader of the organization didn't do it.
What's the second part to taking this down? There's 2 parts to this, you've said.
So the second part is we've got to continue to educate the sympathizers out there that this cause that you want to be a part of is not as glorious as you think it is. And there's so many instances of that are already happening. So many of these young, impressionable minds basically say, I want to be a part of ISIS. And then they become a part of the organization and they realize that, everything they've been promised is not quite as glorious. And the end state, their caliphate, isn't what they're hoping it will be. And I think we need to continue to educate and just say, this isn't the road you want to go down. This extreme form, this distorted view of Islam is not the road you want to take.
Jay, let me ask you this then. A lot of the information that they get comes from, or a lot of the information any of us get comes through the media, the national media and foreign media. What are your thoughts on the narrative that's coming out of the media over this weekend's attack?
Well, I think you're seeing 2 sides of the narrative. I think you're seeing one side that basically wants to downplay who Baghdadi was, which I disagree with. And then you're seeing the side that's basically saying, hey, we took out this incredibly evil, violent man, and he died as a coward in the end, basically blowing himself up and taking his own kids up instead of standing up and fighting for his cause, which is everything that they built that organization on. That's the right message, because that's the message that's going to dissuade these young warriors. If they're going to be like, why am I going to go join this organization? The guy at the end, he wasn't even willing to stand up and fight to the end. I mean, it's one thing if you go out fighting. It's a whole nother thing. You just blow yourself up. It's one thing if he was able to take other fighters out. What was the means to his end, other than he didn't want to confront the fighters that were coming after him? So in any military endeavor, or at the end of the day, you have to break the will of the fighters to want to continue to fight. You know, at some point, if they don't believe in their cause anymore, they're not going to be willing to fight. They don't want to fight. And I think that is the right message.
Okay, retired Lieutenant Jason Redman, I appreciate your time. Great insight, and hopefully we'll talk to you again.
Yeah, Betsy, thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, thanks.